welcome back to Breaking Black Podcast. And tonight we have an interesting episode. So I know we were talking about dating and just kind of being in kind of all kind of different types of situations. And one of the topics that came up was ghosting. How do you feel about being in a situation where somebody would actually ghost you?
So situations like that, if a person doesn't want to talk to me anymore, that is definitely their right. But at least let me know that. You know, I've been ghosted before. I've done the ghosting, and looking back on it, I was like, I could have been more mature about the situation, had a conversation, explained to the person why I no longer wanted to keep in contact. But I feel like, we should be mature enough to go ahead and have a conversation with another person, let them know you would like to cut ties, this isn't working out. I no longer want you in my space, and I feel the other person should be able to receive it and be mature enough to receive that and go on their way,
Right.
gracefully. Have you been ghosted? But you know what, T? You do the ghosting. You do the ghosting, friend.
I mean, I've been ghosted though. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it has happened to me before. It's interesting because I saw this video where Devon Franklin was actually talking about ghosting on his page, and people had a lot of different opinions about what they felt ghosting was and whether or not they thought it was appropriate. So I'm gonna let you listen to it, and we'll come back and let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Now, if you've been ghosted and you have been experiencing the pain of that, I understand. Here's what I need you to know. God knows your heart. You weren't ghosted because there was something wrong with you. Ghosting was a sign of something that was wrong with the person that did the ghosting. So if you've been ghosted, I pray for your healing. I pray for your wholeness. I pray for your health. And I want you to know the seeds of love that you have sown, you will reap. You will reap it from the right person who gets you, who understands you, and who will ultimately appreciate you. Go ahead and pray for the ghost. Just say goodbye as they leave, because that could have been a blessing, because God's rejection is actually God's redirection.
I
Now,
felt that.
I felt that too, right? So it was interesting because on the thread, people took that a lot of different ways. So there were some people that were talking about basically feeling like if you're dealing with somebody that's aggressive or they're abusive, or they don't know how to take no for an answer, like we don't necessarily owe them the option of an explanation, like ghosting them is fine, basically just letting them go. There were other people that was saying it was a sign of maturity if you let a person know, hey, I'm just not interested in you, or it's not working out. It's interesting because I actually feel like, to me, in my opinion, ghosting is a sign of immaturity. Like, outside of the scope of it being a situation where you're dealing with somebody that's violent or aggressive, which I don't think you have a responsibility for.
Right.
If you're dating somebody or somebody's interested in you and you just don't have an interest in this person, or you've lost interest in this person for whatever reason, I feel like it's much easier to just let a person know, hey, I don't really want to keep moving forward, or I'm not interested in you, rather than to just let the person, kind of be oblivious to the reasons why you may not be interested in them anymore, or you've even, lost interest. And so I feel like, just letting a person know that maybe your feelings or your position has changed is just much easier. The person will stop calling, they'll stop texting. And I just never understood why people don't think of it in that way. So, I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think like somebody owes you an explanation if they just lose interest, or do you feel like it's whatever, it's your call whether you want to choose to engage the person or not?
So I totally feel like they should have a conversation with me. Let me know. I'm not, someone they have to just run from. But at the same time, I'm a very understanding person. And if a person wants to cut ties, I no longer fit into their life. I'm not someone they want to keep in contact with, they have every right to stop talking to me. They're not obligated to talk to me, text, keep me on their social media or anything like that. Sometimes relationships grow apart, whether it's friendships, family members, relationships, and you're never obligated to stay around someone or be in contact with a person and you no longer wish to for whatever your reason is. And, like we said, me and you both agree, we do feel it's a sign of maturity to have that conversation. But there are situations where I've stopped talking to people or people have stopped talking to me and we don't need to even talk about it. There's no real love lost. We're just going to go our separate way. Maybe we'll keep up on social media, maybe we won't. But I feel like if a person is going to get ghosted, say it was a relationship, don't dwell on it because, like he spoke about, it could be redirection. Maybe that person just wasn't for you, you weren't for them. So don't block your blessings, worried about why someone ghosted you when you can just go ahead, focus on yourself, and continue on your path. And that journey may lead you to someone who would never even think twice about ghosting you. They would want to have a conversation with you. They would want to keep an open contact. Even if it didn't work out romantically, they would still want you in their lives. But again, no one's obligated to keep anyone in their life if they don't want to. That's everybody's prerogative for sure.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I love me some Devon Franklin. I feel like he be spending some gems on his page. But
And do.
in this particular situation, I just like, I don't know. I think, sometimes I wonder if when people don't kind of let you know that they've lost interest, or, maybe if you're not the type of person that they would be interested in, if they kind of like the idea of like, people calling or texting them, because like, how simple is it to let somebody know, hey, I don't have an interest, and then that person would probably stop contacting you. I mean, unless they're like a stalker or they're obsessive or something, the average person is gonna stop contacting you. So sometimes I wonder if it's like people kind of get off on like being able to reject somebody or having somebody constantly call and text them or whatever, because the average person, they'll stop, but they might call or text if you had a good time with them and they're just following up and they don't know that you've lost interest. So I kind of feel like to a certain extent, it's like, why would you even want somebody hitting your phone or DMing you that you don't even have an interest in? Like, just tell them that you lost interest or you've moved on for whatever reason. But, what are your thoughts? Like, do you feel like there might be some motivation why somebody wouldn't want to, tell somebody and just ghost them? Or do you feel like people just feel like they don't owe you any explanation?
I think it depends on the situation. Say you dated someone and it was it just wasn't ideal. You guys just weren't hitting it off. Maybe there was some type of aggression, and that person can't take rejection well. Then, I could see cutting ties, maybe blocking them, just completely cutting them out your life. But I've been in situations myself where, I was no longer interested. I did want to go ahead and cut ties. And I'm talking about romantically, not friendships or family. This is romantically speaking. I've let, the other party know that, this isn't working out for me. And I was met with a lot of pushback. It was, don't call me. Well, I'm going to call you. Okay, well, I would rather you don't. Well, I'll text you. That's not what I meant. Um, and then, maybe coming by my house or coming by my job. So, there are situations where I can understand a man or a woman really just cutting ties, like to get that person away because they're borderline, quote unquote, crazy. So situations like that, I can understand someone not feeling like they need to explain anything because they just want that person away from them because of their characteristics. Um, in other situations, if you can have that conversation as adults and, just talk to each other, this isn't working out for the both of us, or, one party's not interested, then yeah, that's great, of course. Um, do I feel like sometimes people may, kind of like get excited or, they like to be chased, when they tell someone don't call and then they call? Of course,
That
because
part.
females, yes, we do that. We might get mad at the guy. Don't call me, girl. Let me see if he call. So, and I've also been met with stuff like that. I might tell the man, "Don't call me," and then he calls, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I thought." But at the same time, I told a man, "Don't call me," and been dead serious, and then he emails me. So, it's kind of up in the air. But yeah, to answer your question, I feel like sometimes people do feel like they have the upper hand, or, they like the chase, or to see, if someone's going to be after them like that. But in situations like that, just being kind of honest about that, you're playing with the other person, really. And if you're not interested in them, at all, you don't really want to be called. I don't think you should play with another person's emotions like that, because you never know what could happen. We all seen thin line between love and hate. You can't play with nobody. What about yourself? We talked about the ghosting. And I made the joke. I was like, you do the ghosting, but when you were the person to get ghosted, did it make you feel as if you could have did things differently? Did it make you like look into yourself? Maybe you should make changes, or were you more so like, okay, well, maybe I'm just not their cup of tea? Because a lot of people struggle with that too. So, what's your insight on that?
People misread things all the time, and I feel like not understanding whether somebody is like mutually interested in you, it could be a situation like that if a person's not like properly communicating that. Ghosting pretty much irritates my soul. just I'm gonna just be honest, like I be so irritated when people ghost. Like, I've not been ghosted a lot, but I have experienced ghosting before, and it's so funny because the person that ghosted me, I felt like they put me in a situation where I almost was kind of like, this person is not really my cup of tea, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and get to know them a little bit better, and like make sure I'm not prejudging the situation. So when they turned around and they ghosted me, I was like, oh, that's like, I was like, I wanted to cut you off a long time ago. And I just was like, let me just give this person the benefit of the doubt. Maybe, maybe there's something I missed, right? So I just feel like the average person, if like you were talking, the conversation was good, or you went out on a date and the date was good, if for whatever reason you got turned off by them, no matter what the reason was, the average person's probably going to follow up if your exchanges have been pleasant or your date was pleasant. So sometimes if you text, you don't know if the text went through. If you called a person and it went to voicemail, you don't know that person sending you to voicemail. It could just be going to voicemail. So you may follow up with a call or follow up with a text. And it's like, if the person's not interested in you, they got you out here just looking crazy. So I feel like, why not just say, hey, we went out, but I'm not really interested, or I've moved on to something else, or whatever the case may be. Like, I just feel like, just let them know. Now, if you're dealing with a person who doesn't know how to respect boundaries, like what you're talking about, you're telling them what's up and they're like, they still want to call you, they still want to talk to you. Like, I've dealt with that too. I don't feel like you owe that type of person an explanation. Like, we're not going to give, leeway to people that, don't respect our boundaries and do not understand clear intentions. It's like, we're going to just let that fall on the way, in the wayside. But I don't feel the average person. I feel like the average person has enough emotional intelligence where they will respect where you're coming from. And that's where I'm not really feeling ghosted.
So to touch on what you said, about ghosting, you may not know if the text went through, different things like that. We all got iPhones. You know if that text went through. So, you got to keep it real. I know if that text went through. So you got my text, and if you got your read receipts off, that's different. Maybe I don't know if you read it, but I know you got it if it says delivered. I know you got it. Mostly everybody has iPhones. Even with Android, they have read receipts too. So we know certain things like that. Do we know, if they got the call? Sometimes we don't. They could be in a spotty reception area. Yes, but I was gonna say something too. I've been in a situation to where, the ghosting happened, not on my end, but, Unfortunately, I was ghosted and was wondering why, because I thought we were cool, good conversation. When we stepped out together looking good, both smelling good, like eyes on us. It was ideal. But come to find out, doing my research, because I get real into things when I'm doing research, as you know from our past. We can find some stuff out. So what I found out was the other party was in a relationship. So I figured I got ghosted because y'all must be back on good terms. Y'all had a little fight, little tiff, y'all was separated. You came to see what was out there, went on a couple dates with me. Of course, you're gonna like me. I'm a likable person. I'm charming. But come to find out, that person was in a relationship. So that is also a reason why people ghost people, because they already have something going on, and they're
Honestly,
not going to give you they're not going to give you an explanation, though, because what are they going to say? Oh, I have a boyfriend. Oh, I have a girlfriend. They're that in that type of situation, you're not going to get a mature answer. They're going to try to cut you off because A, they don't want to get caught up, and B, they're liars. So it's not like they're going to be able to tell you a true story. Oh, I just cut contacts because this wasn't working out. No, it was working out, but you were cheating. So, you were going to get caught up. But, when it comes to cheating and stuff like that, I know we both have a lot to say about that.